Hello, hello, hello. How's it going tonight? It's definitely the third week. A little quieter, a little milder. It's okay. It's okay. I'm with you. I'm feeling it tonight. Hey, another week, another chance to be together, which I love so much. And I know that as the semester is going, some of y'all are checking out 242 for the first time. And I really mean this when I say this. Like, I am genuinely so honored and thankful that you choose to spend Wednesday night here. Because I know there are a lot of other places you could be. I know there are a lot of other spaces you could be in, ways you could be spending your time. And so to choose to grace us with your presence and to be here, like, genuinely means a lot to me. So thank y'all for being here. It is our goal every week to create a space that feels like home away from home. There's some really great people in this room. And if you have not yet, take the chance to get to know them, because I genuinely believe this can be the semester that God does something miraculous in your life. I believe that this could be the semester where he builds deeper community and a deeper love for the people around you, while also drawing your heart closer to his. And he does that in the presence of other people. So take a chance if you have not already and dive in. If we haven't met, my name is Chris. And I'm the college pastor around here, and I love this church. I love this ministry. I have the best job in the world. I would love to get to know you, and so please come up after service, introduce yourself, say hi, or if we've met before and you want to go grab coffee or lunch or something, like, come tell me. Let's do it. I will tell you, though, I'm not a coffee drinker at all, like at all.
Is it on you?
Yes. But I am not a coffee drinker at all. I like sitting in coffee shops, though, so I like the smell of coffee, but I just don't like drinking coffee. So you leave me to my sweet tea and Dr. Pepper, and you can enjoy your venti vanilla sweet cream cold brew with 2 pumps of mocha and 3 shots of espresso, okay? Hey, y'all needed some extra energy tonight, so you need those extra shots of espresso. Did it sound like I knew what I was talking about? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I practiced that. I Googled, what's a Starbucks drink? To throw a bunch of words together that probably wouldn't even taste good. I don't know. Actually, I know it wouldn't taste good, but you might think it would. I don't know. But hey, you're welcome, because I just talked about coffee for like 60 seconds. And so when you get on TikTok later, or Facebook or Instagram, there's going to be coffee. Yeah. Starbucks, Dutch Bros, people talking about coffee, whatever. It's going to be filling up your feed, so you're welcome for that. Has that ever happened to anybody before? Like, you have a conversation, and then all of a sudden you get on social media and you're like, this is creepy. Like, maybe China really is spying on us. Maybe TikTok should have gone away. I'm not sure. What? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, but here's what the algorithm knows about my wife. Y'all listening? Wife. Yeah, here's what the algorithm knows about my wife. She is a sucker for buying things she's never going to use. Yeah. And I told her that I was going to say this tonight, so I'm not talking about her. I am talking about her behind her back, but I also said it to her face. She's definitely a sucker for buying things that she doesn't need and won't use. But here's the thing. It's crazy. If you know my wife, she's like crazy frugal, okay? When she buys stuff, it's for other people or for our kids or like something that she thinks will make our home better, but it's never for herself. I'm like, no, you should buy something for yourself. I should buy something for you. I just thought about that. Maybe I'll do that. But here's a couple weeks ago, she sent me a video of this. Okay, she saw this on, I don't know, Instagram. I don't think she's even on TikTok. And you might see this and think, like, wow, that's a cool mop. But did you know this is actually not to mop your floor? This is for your wall. Kristen knows. This is a wall mop. Now, y'all listen up. I say it's a wall mop, but we haven't used it. I opened the box today. I was like, hey, can I use this as an example since you literally bought it and we haven't used it? I opened the box today, so we don't know if it works. But the video said that it would be life-changing and that you could just use this. And, ladies and gentlemen, you too could have the cleanest walls in your entire apartment complex if you buy this off of the TikTok shop or wherever she got it. And I don't know what it's called. Just search for wall mop, and if it looks like this, buy it. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. If you want to borrow it, you can let us know if it works, and then we can try it on our house. But Maybe you've seen a video like that before. It probably wasn't for a wall mop, right? Only my wife gets those videos, but you probably have seen a video for something else where somebody is telling you like, oh my gosh, this thing changed my life. These are the best pants I've ever worn, or this thing, whatever it is. I'm not going to pretend to know what advertisements show up in your feed. I don't want to know what advertisements show up in your feed, but we get these videos, we see these things all the time because people are like, man, I had a real experience, something that I benefited from, that I felt like was helpful or beneficial, and so I want to tell people about it. I want to share. They also get a commission, right? So it helps, but they want to tell people about it, and it's crazy that we live in this environment with influencers where they're sharing real stories about things that have happened to them. And the predominant theme ultimately is this: whether you're interested in that product or not, whether you think, oh man, this could help me, they're essentially saying, hey, if you don't believe me, just try it for yourself, right? Like, if you want the same results or whatever, you may think, oh, that's crazy. It's not actually going to do what you say. Just try it. Like, just buy it and try it for yourself. We hear this message all the time. If you don't believe me, just try it for yourself. And when it comes to wall mops or when it comes to your favorite pair of pants or whatever, like, that makes sense. But then when we think about our faith, so often we're like, I'm not going to share that. Like, I'm not going to talk about that. Like, we get shy. We get embarrassed when it comes to talking about the most real experience that we've ever had, where we met the creator of the universe. He did something in our heart. He changed our life. He set us free, and we are hesitant to share that. We're hesitant. We maybe feel embarrassed. It's like, I want to come to 242. I want to go to Breakaway, but honestly, outside of that, like, I'm kind of cool if the people around me don't know I'm a Christian. Like, that's no big deal. Or, okay, they can know I'm a Christian, but like, I don't want to be one of those like weird Christians. I don't want to be the one who like doesn't go to the parties, or that they think, oh, you're like one of those Christians. Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to like lose friendships over it or lose relationships. Like, I don't mind being known as a Christian, but I'm also cool if I'm not known as a Christian, right? Like, we experience this all the time in different relationships. We don't want to have to say no to the things everyone else is saying no to. So when it comes to sharing our faith, a lot of times it can feel very intimidating. If I'm being honest, even as a staff person here at the church, sometimes I feel this tension that, like, man, my reputation might be more important than me sharing Jesus with somebody. Like, I don't want people to think something weird about me, or I don't want my neighbor to stop talking to me because they feel like all I'm going to do is shove Jesus down their throat. And so even as someone who is like on staff at a church, like, I still have to wrestle with this and feel this tension of, am I going to share, or am I going to like maybe be embarrassed or shy or hesitant or intimidated? But here's the thing that we have to like really embrace. If you make the decision to follow Jesus, you should look different than the people around you. Not just on the inside, on the outside. If you make the decision to go all in and to follow Jesus, your life should look different than the people in your fraternity or sorority. Your life should look different than the people in your org or your flow. If you follow Jesus and the people around you don't, that's great, but you should look different than your family, your friends, your roommates. There is a very clear picture that Jesus paints. There's this journey that he invites us into. We're in this series called You Have Heard It Said. Last week, we started with the Beatitudes. Jesus is inviting us to live this life, to experience the good life. Makarios is the Greek word that he uses, to experience the good life, which is essentially like life as God intended it. It doesn't mean you get everything you want. It doesn't mean you're always happy. It means that you are experiencing life as God intended it. But when he invites us into this, the Sermon on the Mount, like 3 chapters of Matthew that we are walking through right now, consistently is painting this picture of a life that looks different. It's painting a picture of an experience that is going to be countercultural. That was Jesus's shtick. Like that's literally all throughout the Sermon on the Mount. He's like, you have heard it said one thing, but I say something different, because he's inviting us into this different way of living. Have any of you ever had your phone and you accidentally left the flashlight on and you stick it in your pocket, and then a friend comes up and they're like, hey, your flashlight's on. You're like, oh shoot, that's so embarrassing. I'm gonna turn that off, right? Jesus is saying no, leave your light on, leave the flashlight on. It's okay, right? You shouldn't be embarrassed by that. But when we come into spaces like this, or we're sitting in CG, or we're with friends that we know they love Jesus, then it feels very natural for us to leave our flashlight on, for us to shine our light, because other people are doing it, so it feels comfortable and natural. And then we get into other spaces where maybe it's not as obvious, it's not as comfortable, and so then we're like, oh shoot, that's so embarrassing. I need to turn that off before anybody notices I left my flashlight on. But Jesus is consistently inviting us into this different way of living. And so we're gonna continue our journey through Matthew chapter 5, picking right up after the Beatitudes. Starting in chapter 5, verse 13, it says this: you are the salt of the earth, but what good is salt if it has lost its flavor? Can you make it salty again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. Now, if you grew up in church, you have very likely heard these verses before. And so maybe you need to look at it through the lens tonight. If this is very familiar to you, this is something you've heard, you know, you're well acquainted with, then I want you to look through the lens and ask the question, is this something that I know, or is this something that I believe? Because knowing something and believing something are not the same thing. And so this is applicable to everyone in the room tonight. If you are a follower of Jesus or are pursuing what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus, and Jesus says, hey, you're the salt of the earth. What does it mean to be the salt of the earth? Well, we know a few things about salt. This is not new information. Y'all are smart college students, right? The first thing is salt adds flavor. Anybody ever had the perfectly crisp French fry with no salt on it? What makes it better? Salt, right? It can be perfect. You're just like, oh man, that was the perfect amount of time in the oil. It could not be any better, but you forgot the salt. You just ruined the whole experience. I need some salt. Give me all the cholesterol, all the sodium. I don't care about the heart attack. I'll deal with that's a tomorrow problem. Today, my French fries need salt, right? So we know that salt adds flavor. That's a good thing. Salt also, this is not new information. It's a preservative, right? Especially before the invention of refrigeration, they would take things that would easily spoil, like meat, and they would pack it in salt to preserve. And so Jesus is inviting us, and he's saying, hey, that's you. The earth is decaying. Culture is decaying. The environment around us, and this is not an environmental lecture. This is not talking about global warming. That's not what Jesus was talking about. He was saying, in a spiritual sense, the people around you are consuming and pursuing things that are not going to last. They're going to spoil. If you're not careful, you are pursuing and consuming things that are going to spoil. They're not going to last. And so there's this invitation to be salt, to be this preservative in culture, to be this preservative in relationships, because the people around us are believing lies about what matters. They're believing lies about where to find true love. They're believing lies about where to find purpose or where joy comes from, what meaning of life is. And so part of our job as followers of Jesus is to preserve truth and share it with the people closest to us. Because if they are believing lies, then we want to offer truth as an alternative to that. And that's part of what it looks like to be salt. And it isn't because there's anything special about you. I hate to break it to you. There's nothing special about me. But God has done something special in you. He's done something in your heart and your life. He has regenerated you. If you have said yes to following Jesus, he has given you a new identity. He has given you a new heart. And because of that, he invites you to share your story, because the story, real person, real experience, who's experienced something that's been life-changing, that's the thing that preserves the culture. Just like this dumb wall mop that probably doesn't even work. If you don't believe me, just try it. Like, we get the opportunity to live out the ultimate, like, hey, if you don't believe me, just try it. Like, this is my experience with this. It can change your life. But then Jesus says if salt loses its saltiness, it can't be made salty again. Salt adds flavor. Psalm 34:8 says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh, the joys of those who take refuge in him. When you share your story and your experience, not just with words, but when you live this kind of life that Jesus invites us to, you are adding flavor and adding salt. You are helping people taste and see that the Lord is good. They may not know, and then they experience you, and through you, they get to experience Jesus. And so we get to add flavor to the life of the people around you. That there's a God that loves them and is not mad at them and is waiting for them to come home. That may sound so foreign to them, but they get to experience that because they get to see what God has done in your life. I love how this continues because this idea of salt is mixed with what comes next in verses 14 and 15. It says this, you are the light of the world. So first he says you're the salt of the earth. Now he says you're the light of the world. What did Psalm 34:8 say? Taste and see. Salt and light. It's just a cool correlation. You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. This is another invitation from Jesus to look different, to live different. It says this in John 8:12. Jesus spoke to the people once more and said, I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness because you will have the light that leads to life. Now, if you read these two verses, you're like, in Matthew, Jesus said, you are the light of the world, speaking about the people he was talking to, but also us as followers of Jesus. And then in John, he says, I am the light of the world, speaking of himself. Is Jesus contradicting himself? Like, is he confused? Did he forget that he told the church that they were the light of the world? And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm the light of the world. Like that's not what's happening. Jesus is saying, because I am the light of the world, you are now the light of the world because you are my ambassadors. You are the one that I'm sending out. You are the one that is reflecting. You are the one that is showing what's happening. It's in the same way that the moon doesn't actually present any light of its own. Y'all know this, right? Yeah, everybody knows this. Like there's no light switch for the moon. You can't turn the moon on and off. All the moon does is what? Reflect. The moon reflects the light of the sun. And so Jesus is saying, hey, when you're walking with me, when you're living life in the way that I've invited you to live, when you're poor in spirit, when you're a peacemaker, when you are pursuing Christ with a pure heart, all these beatitudes we talked about last week, when you are pursuing these things and you're walking with me, you're reflecting my light. You're reflecting the hope and the salvation that I offer. But we get shy and intimidated and sometimes embarrassed, and so we try to hide the light behind us or be quick to turn it off because we left our flashlight on. Anybody remember when this happened? Check out this picture. I didn't take that picture. It would have been cool, but I didn't. Thank you, Google. You remember when this happened, right? This wasn't that long ago. When the moon gets in the way of the sun, everything gets dark again. Think about that. If our job is like the moon to reflect the light of the sun, and then we put ourselves in between the one who should be receiving the light and the light, everything gets dark again. When we try to hide or are shy or are intimidated, we are actually bringing darkness into the spaces that we're in because we're blocking the light from entering in when we walk into a room. We're blocking the light from shining into the life of our roommates and our classmates and our coworkers. And we feel like, man, why is it so hard? Why is it so dark? And it's because we're hiding the light. Like the actual thing that can make a difference. The actual, hey, if you don't believe me, just try it. Like the creator of the universe, who desires relationship, who has changed our heart and our life. We're blocking that light from making a difference in the life of our friends and family and the people around us. And Jesus is like, this is the same logic if you lit a lamp and then you put it under a basket or a bowl. It's like if you found the brightest light you had in your house and then you went and put it in your pantry and closed the door. That wouldn't make any sense. Or the electricity goes off, right? It gets pretty dark when the electricity goes off. And so you go find a flashlight and you take the flashlight and you put it under your bed and then you go back in the living room. Like, hopefully it works. Of course it's not going to work, right? Like, nobody does that. You take the light with you. And Jesus is like, it's the same logic. Like, why would you light a lamp? If I lit a lamp right now and I put it at my feet, like, yeah, the first couple of rows could see it, but the people in the back wouldn't be able to see it. Instead, he says, hey, no, you lift that light up. You like put it on a lampstand. You want to make it as high as possible so that everyone can see it. Like, our job, our responsibility is to lift up the light of Jesus as high as we can so as many people can see it and experience it as possible. And John 12:32 says this, when I am lifted up, this is Jesus talking, when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw everyone to myself. Your job, my job, is to lift the light as high as possible. Jesus' job is to draw everyone to himself. I can't save anybody. Hate to break it to you. You can't save anybody. You are not the hope of the world. But we have the hope of the world. We have the opportunity to lift this light up as high as possible and not hide it in our own life because we want it to make a difference. We want it to shine into the darkness. But here is what can also happen. There's this tension, right? Sometimes we're like really intimidated, shy, embarrassed, and so we like try to hide the light. Other times, maybe this is just me, but I'm sure some of y'all feel this as well. Like we're proud of being a Christian and we want to speak into the people in our life. We want to make a difference. And then if we're not careful, we look up and we're like, man, I am the light of the world. Like, I kind of like that I'm known as the one that people come to, that they come to for advice, or they come to because they need to process through something, or they need somebody to fix their problems, or they need somebody to speak into them. Like that kind of feels good. And if we're not careful, we can start to shine the light on ourselves, and we can start to have impure motives. But Jesus continues in Matthew 5:16. He says this, in the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Those two words, so that. Jesus is saying, hey, I want you to live the life. I want you to experience Makarios, the life that God intended for you. I want you to take ownership and recognize that you are the salt and the light of the world. You are the one that brings flavor. You are the one that is a preservative. You are the one that brings light into the darkness because you're reflecting. But you need to know why. So that everyone will glorify your heavenly Father. Okay, if you have an iPhone, I need you to do me a favor. I want you to pull it out. If I left mine on my desk. I need somebody to give me their iPhone, okay? And then everyone else that has an iPhone, pull it out. Sorry. I tried to not have my phone with me and then realized I needed my phone with me. Okay, I want you to turn on your flashlight if you have an iPhone. If you have an Android, this probably isn't going to work, but that shouldn't surprise you because most things on an Android don't work. We have a lot of Android users or people that aren't listening. If you have a flashlight, turn it on so that I can see it. Okay, go ahead. They're going to turn the lights out. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so here's what's cool. We walk into spaces where other people are shining their light, and it's almost bright enough to be able to see, right? Like, it's encouraging, and it's like, okay, I can make my way around the room. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to do me a favor and swipe over to take a selfie. Some actually did take a selfie. I like it. Okay, listen to this. Don't miss this. Don't miss this. Listen up. Shh. Listen up. The iPhone understands this principle. You can't shine a light on something and have the light shining on you at the same time. And if the iPhone, y'all can turn the lights back on, it's getting scary in here. If the iPhone, don't miss this, if a piece of technology can figure this out, you and I need to be able to figure this out. We cannot effectively shine a light and reflect the light of Jesus and shine a light on ourselves at the same time. So if we want to be obedient to what Jesus is asking us to, if we want to be the light of the world by being a reflection of the light of the world, if we want to bring light into dark places, if we want the people closest to us to experience not only Makarios, the life God intended, but to actually experience God, we cannot be shining the light on us. We can't be drawing the attention to us. Jesus says, hey, 2 Peter, I think, says, hey, be careful how you live among your unbelieving neighbors. Why? For they'll see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. It's the same principle. It draws the attention to our heavenly Father. And we have to understand that it is not about us. Our life helps people taste and see the goodness of God. If we are being obedient to who God has called us to be, our life helps people taste and see the goodness of God. And one of the coolest things that I get to experience year after year in college ministry is to hear so many stories about how people ended up in this place or how they came to put their faith in Jesus. And almost every single time, it's because of someone else. My friend told me, or my parents took me to church, or my neighbor across the street shared. Somebody shined a light. What if God has put you in the places that he's put you in? If you are a follower of Jesus, what if he has put you in the places that he's put you in, given you the relationships that he's given you so that you would lift Jesus up and he would draw people into himself? Not what if. He has put you in the places that he's put you. He has given you the relationships he's given you so that you would lift him up and that he would draw people unto himself. And I understand that can feel really intimidating and scary. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Check out what 2 Peter 1:3 says. By his divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life. We have received all of this by coming to know him, the one who called us to himself by means of his marvelous glory and excellence. It is not about always having the right words. It is about living on purpose with a purpose. He's given you everything you need to live a godly life. One of my favorite verses, 1 John 4. No one has ever seen God, but if we will love each other, God's love is in us and brought to full expression through us. It is so much more about who we are than just what we say. You know, it's often attributed to like Saint Francis or something, like preach the gospel at all times, if necessary, use words. Words are necessary, okay? I'm in no way saying, hey, we don't need to talk about Jesus. Like, just be a good person. That's not what I'm saying. But if we are poor in spirit, if we are mourning the condition of our sin, if we are meek, if we are hungering and thirsting for righteousness, these are the Beatitudes we talked about last week. If we are pursuing and living a godly life, that is what is going to speak the loudest and reflect light the brightest. One more story before we close. A couple of summers ago, we took a team to Jamaica. And while we were there for a mission trip in the summer, while we were there, we went to Luminous Lagoon. Check out this picture. It's an area of water that has a bioluminescent microorganism in the water. Check this out. This is so cool. When you moved around in the water, it glowed, okay? If you were perfectly still, the water would get dark. But as you moved around, the water would glow because there's this like bioluminescent organism. It's the same organism and compound that is found in the firefly. Okay, fireflies glow to mate, which is not what this is about, okay, but it's just an interesting fact. But check this out, that microorganism is called luciferin. Luciferin, okay? The root word of luciferin is Lucifer. Listen, hey, hang in there with me. We give the name Lucifer to Satan, but it just means bearer of light, okay? Like that's what the actual word Lucifer means, is like bearer of light. The firefly glows, or fires, whatever. The firefly glows, and that is how they are attracted to each other, because they mate. But this is important. There is a predator of the firefly that also has the same bioluminescent microorganism, and it glows to attract the firefly, and then it devours it. It consumes it. This is messed up, okay? But this is so cool. Like, this is so cool because, like, the creator of the universe, stick with me, this is going somewhere. The creator of the universe designed it this way, okay? So check out these verses. 2 Corinthians 11:14 says that even Satan, Lucifer, disguises himself as an angel of light. It means that there are experiences, there are things that we are chasing after. The firefly sees that predator glowing, and it doesn't say, that looks dangerous, I'm going to go over there, right? It says, that looks inviting, that looks like love, that looks safe, that looks caring, that looks kind, right? So they go over there, and then it is a false light, and it leads to their destruction. And this verse says that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. There are things that we are chasing after. We think we know where goodness is found. We think we know where joy is found, and then we get in the middle of it, and we realize, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. There are people in your life that are being drawn to what they think is light, but it is not the light. And it is our job, because 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober-minded, be alert. Your adversary, the devil, Lucifer, Satan, is prowling around like a roaring lion. Check it out. Looking for anyone he can devour. The exact same thing as this predator of the firefly. It draws them in, and then it devours them. We get so mesmerized by things that look like light. And we get drawn in. We do it. The people in our life do it. And Jesus is reminding, he is pleading, he is presenting this picture of, hey, do not miss this. Do not forget. Everyone is looking for light. You found it. You are a reflection of the ultimate source of light. There's this quote, and it's not on the screen. Penn and Teller, y'all familiar with Penn and Teller? Penn Jillette, the big guy. So Teller's the guy who doesn't talk. And then Penn Jillette is the big guy. And he is an atheist, a pretty famous, renowned atheist. And there's this quote where he essentially says, like, if you believe what Christians say they believe, and you don't tell people, how much do you hate them? Because if I really believed, if you were standing in the middle of the street and I saw a truck coming and I really believed that truck was going to run you over, if I cared about you, I would come tackle you out of the street. You say that you have salvation. You say that you have hope. You say that you know the light of the world. If you actually genuinely care about the people in your life, shine a light. Show them the source of the true light and hope. Man, what if you and I had the courage to not turn our flashlights on when we feel like it's appropriate? What if we had the courage to shine the light at all times? And maybe there's somebody in your fraternity, sorority, flow, org, whatever, and they don't have the courage, and they're just waiting to see somebody else shine their light so they can start shining their light. And what if it's you having the courage, and that's the thing that encourages somebody else? What if it's you having the courage and someone is drawn to a true source of light? Because when people actually see Jesus, they experience true life. I read a study, this is the last thing and we're done. I read a study this week that was talking about this idea of like reading your Bible regularly. This goes to the whole, like, if you don't believe me, just try it. This study, which was put out by, I think, Pew Research, which is like really well-known and renowned, said if you read your Bible 4 times a week, the likelihood of you sharing your faith goes up by 200%. But you know what else dramatically changes? The likelihood of you looking at porn goes down 60%. Anxiety and depression goes down like 48%. Simply by going to the source of the true light. If you don't believe me, just try it. What if you tried it this week? If you think about what Christians say they believe, poor in spirit. This is how Jesus starts this message. Like the first words out of his mouth. You want to experience Makarios, life as God intended? You have to be poor in spirit. You have to recognize that you have a debt you cannot pay. Christians, followers of Jesus, believe that Jesus paid that debt for us. That he offered hope when there was no hope. That he offered life when there was no life. We have that hope. We have that light. What if we let it shine? This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, right? I'm going to leave you with this quote. This is by Oliver Goldsmith. No idea who that is. But I have this quote hanging on my wall because Caitlin, who is the brightest light I've ever met in my life, gave me a postcard with this on it, and it says, "You can preach a better sermon with your life than with your lips." I wish I had said that, but Oliver is letting his light shine. Let's pray.